Mike Flanagan is back with his latest Stephen King adaptation. This time he's directing and writing The Life of Chuck. When it comes down to Mike Flanagan, I am all on board with anything this guy is going to do. I'm always going to go and watch it, give it the fair due. Sometimes I come out loving his stuff. Sometimes I just come out liking his stuff. But this time with The Life of Chuck, I felt like I just had an indescribable experience with one of his movies. And I think that's because I didn't know what I was going to be getting. And wow, what a movie we just got. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new movie review. Today we're discussing Mike Flanagan's brand new film, The Life of Chuck. This is about Chuck Krantz, who experiences the wonder of love, the heartbreak of loss, and the multitudes contained in all of us. Again, this is directed and written by Mike Flanagan, who's mostly known for making a lot of horror stuff. But when this guy makes horror-centric things, specifically The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, and very much a lot of his stuff always contains layers. They're not just straightforward horror stuff, which he's done, but 90% of the time, I would say he contains stuff that really deals with other themes and motives, which is something that Stephen King has always brilliantly written into his novels, his short stories, and whatever you may come about with that. Life of Chuck is a novel that I've never read, never heard of, never known anything about from Stephen King, but I have heard a lot of great things about, and I've always been interested to see how Mike Flanagan was going to be able to dive into the world of non-horror when it comes down to a Stephen King novel. And I think for the most part, what he did with The Life of Chuck is a spiritual experience. And it's one that I don't think will work for everybody, but I think it is one that I would find this film to be a comfort movie in some sense, even though it deals with a lot of heavy themes like disaster, grief, ghost, the thought-provoking nature of life, heartbreak, like all these different things and all these different motives are aspects of this movie that hit very hard, but I never felt emotionally sad. In a way, I felt emotionally okay. That if I were to be going through any of those experiences, I could watch this movie, feel at peace. And that is not something that goes lightly. That is something that is very hard to deal with and very much a fine balance that you have to walk within a movie. And the fact that Mike Flanagan accomplished that, I thought this film was very special, and I think it really deals with certain aspects of life that we are all trying to just hit in spades. So I'm very excited to talk about The Life of Chuck today. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. Without further ado, let's get into the pros. And the number one thing I want to talk about is, of course, Mike Flanagan's a director and writer. This really much flexes some new muscles from him as a creative mind, and one that, again, I was very impressed with. He walks that fine line of very much making you want to tear up, make you get emotionally, like, cry and sad, but also then hits that layer where, again, you feel okay. You feel at peace with what is happening, and it, again, is a retrospect that makes you think back on your life, specifically in the way that he tells this story. Now, I don't know how the novel is told. I'm assuming it's almost the same light, since he's always very close to Stephen King novels. But the way that he tells this is broken into 3 different acts, and it kind of goes backwards in terms of the story that it's telling. And Act 3, for me, what I was so impressed with it is the fact that it does go backwards. And when you start backwards, it paints this very interesting piece. And you're like, oh, this is very hooking. What is going on with the world and the state of the nature? And by the time that act ends and jumps into Act 2, you're like, whoa, what happened? And in a way, it kind of gives you a little bit of whiplash. So that way, when you get into Act 1 and you retrospect and look at everything that has happened through the course of the story, it all starts to piece together elements. There's a lot of heavy-hitting monologues in here that aren't preachy, but all go towards the story and all go towards what its motives are and what it wants you to feel in the end of the day. And for me, the multitudes contained in all of us, all the emotions, all the aspects, all the thoughts, all the things that we build inside of our head, our imaginations, our creatives, our daydreams, our night dreams, all those things are living pieces of us. And the fact that you put that in perspective and you think of where that goes and how that's all going to happen is something that very much just intrigued me. and kept me engaged for the entire film. What really is the key piece to keeping all of those thoughts, all of those ideas inside one streamlined way is Mike Flanagan's writing and directing. On paper, this sounds like a mess. If I was to go out, like I called one of my friends right after the movie. I was like, I think this is the movie for you. I think you need to see this movie. He's been going through some hardships and some hard times. And he asked me for more details, I said, you know what? Don't read the synopsis. Don't even look at the poster. Don't watch the trailer. Just go see the movie. Because I don't even want to try and explain what the film is. This is how it made me feel. I think you need to see it. And that's kind of the best way that I would explain The Life of Chuck, is that it made me feel okay in life. It made me feel at peace. It made me feel like I got a hug. And I don't know why. Because it, again, has those hard-hitting themes. And for some way, shape, and form, it just knocks it out of the park. And again, it's not a film that should work on paper. Like, there's a crazy dance number in the middle of the film, but it's a number that I couldn't keep my eyes off of. And I think sometimes that is, and the way that it sways emotions is kind of heartbreaking. Sometimes you do like hear music and you just want to start dancing. And that's kind of the reason that this works. And you don't know why. You can't explain it. You just want to. Every life in this world, I think this film showcases, is important to one another. No matter what is going on, no matter what piece of that is, every life is important. Every life has a piece to it. Every life that, and every person that entangles in your life is important. And every relationship, every thought, every little thing means something in this world. And I think some of us take it for too granted. And I think this film might make people take a retrospect on what they're doing in their own life. To say, I think the performances are great. Now, there's a stacked cast here, and I wouldn't say that one actor gets a big standout moment than the last, because every single person across the board is just great. Much as they market Tom Hiddleston as the lead role in here, it's kind of interesting the usage of how they use him. I would say that he is one of the strongest performances in it, but I would also say that it's more of a face for the film, and everything else is kind of an added bonus. Very interesting how I would describe that, and I don't really want to get into it because I think it gives away a little bit too much, but Tom Hiddleston's great. I think Mark Hamill delivers personally one of my favorite monologues of the film, alongside Katie Siegel, who is always great in a Mike Flanagan project. Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan, I think, add another aspect to that really hits hard. Jacob Tremblay as well. Specifically, the final shot and moment of this film nearly got me and made me just sit in my seat and not want to get up. Genuinely think the list goes on and on from there, like the amount of cast members that you see in here, and sometimes they pop up for literally just one scene, but they make a prominent impact on that. And that's one thing, is I kind of expected The Life of Chuck to be something like 9 Days. If you've never seen that movie, one of the best films of this decade, which for me was a retrospect on like the meaning of life and how important life is. And I think The Life of Chuck has some of those same themes as well. But 9 Days, where that was emotionally devastating to me, this one was, again, emotionally okay. And I think every aspect of this film works for that light. It came down to any issues and the reasons that I can't go as far to say that this is a perfect movie or a masterpiece or Mike Flanagan's best project yet, and this might be something that's in the novel, I actually wish the film was a tad bit longer to dive into certain other aspects. I would have liked to feel a little bit of an emotional range on certain characters, and specifically Chuck himself. You do see glimmers and aspects of his life, but there are elements and pieces that I wish they would have just expanded a tad bit more on, that I think would have really pushed that film over the hill for me. This is definitely a movie that I think people are going to dive into. They're going to dissect, they're going to discuss, they're going to have all these great discussions on, and I think that's the reason that it is an indescribable experience. I think everyone's going to leave this film very much different feelings, but leaving emotionally knowing it's going to be okay. Mike Flanagan, I think, directs something that is completely different than anything in his career. And for me, I think The Life of Chuck is absolutely worth watching. So with all that said, I'm going to give this film an A-. Thank you so much again, guys, for watching this. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button, comment down below your guys' thoughts. And of course, until next time, stay classy and share your thoughts down below. What is your favorite Mike Flanagan project? I go back and forth on what my favorite thing is, but The Fall of the House of Usher, it might be up there. But Dr. Sleep 2, chef's kiss. I don't know. He's had a bunch of great projects, and I can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts down below. But of course, until next time, stay classy. Wait. Before I get going, Midnight Mass. I'm stupid. He also directed that. That is my favorite one. Freaking masterpiece. This guy's made a lot of great projects.